Hi, I'm James McGuire, and on today's eSpeaks, we're talking about two technology sectors that are now inextricably linked. That is, artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. AI is now at the very forefront of protecting against cyber attacks, even as it's used as a tool by hackers to perpetrate attacks. To discuss that, I'm joined by David Reber, Chief Security Officer and Head of Product Security at Nvidia. David, absolutely thrilled to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
I think it's really fascinating in the world of cybersecurity. It's almost like it's AI versus AI. It's like some sort of an escalating arms race. Can you talk about how AI is shaping the cybersecurity sector these days?
Yeah, so when we look at it, there is a ton of offense and defense evolutions always going on. Cyber has always been a cat and mouse game where the defenders are always happen to be right every time, where the offense always has to be right once.
Hmm.
One of the fundamental limiters of the offense traditionally has been scale. How can I uniquely scale and customize my exploits, my phishing, my attacks to every enterprise in the world? Generally, scale is what has limited them to being as efficient with what they really want to be able to do. Now with AI, they're able to generate phishing emails that look just like your CEO or your executive sent you, custom tailored to you as an individual for what you did that afternoon. So that scale dynamic is really changing the pace and making that evolution of adversarial AI at machine scale. Additionally, cyber defense has always been a data problem. We've tried to make it look like, oh, we can just write these rules, these filters, but really at the end of the day, it is a data problem. It is a machine learning or AI problem. But the challenge we have to look at is how do we enable the machines do what the machines are best at, and enable the humans to do what the humans are best at, and create this defensive ecosystem that allows to take over that machine scale offensive adversary.
Do you think as AI has played a more central role in cybersecurity that is it currently favoring the good guys or the bad guys?
It's it's a tool in both toolboxes. I
Hmm.
would say that it's easier to see the adversarial wins than the defensive wins right now,
Right.
but there's a lot of research that's going into both sides. I mean, you see AI in pockets with different solutions and sets across the industry. One phrase that I've heard before and I like to say it is it's AI until you trust it, and then it's just automation. So
Aha.
as we look to use AI to help us automate the rules and capabilities faster, you can see those wins. So it really just depends on how you look at the problem and where the space is. Sometimes it's better for the offense and clearer. Sometimes it's better for the defense.
I want to make sure I understand that phrase you use. It's really interesting. It's like it's AI until you trust it, otherwise it's automation. Am I getting that right?
Yes. And we see that a lot is it's like when you don't know or understand how it's working or don't know if it's working, you talk about it as machine learning, you talk about it as AI, then especially in the cyber defense, what often happens is once we understand it, it becomes a repeat pattern. It's just automation within our network that we trust. Even though it is still using machine learning techniques, it's still using the same fundamentals. It just becomes automation within our networks and our systems. And it's there today in many cases.
All right. So if both sides have AI, how can companies get the better hand in protecting themselves? What's your recommendation in this sense?
One of the things I often see companies think is AI is going to solve their foundational problems that they've been skipping for years.
Hmm.
As an industry, right, we have tons of cyber solutions that will help you solve your lack of asset management or your lack of hardened and centralized identity management.
Hmm.
But in reality, AI is most effective when you lay those foundations correct, whether it's zero trust strategies, whether it's data-centric security models, by keeping and involving that foundation, automating your infrastructure and your deployments, getting that solid is going to enable AI to be successful in defense. Because I can't automate rapid defense if I don't know the infrastructure that I have. So you still have to solve those foundations, understand those skill sets, and start investing some time, energy, and understanding in your new hires or into your SOC, and to use it as an additional capability and just keep learning as the industry evolves.
If I'm understanding your answer correctly, it sounds like it's along the lines of make sure everything makes sense before you get to the AI. Am I understanding that correctly, or is there something I'm missing there?
It's something people can do now, yes. However, it shouldn't prohibit from getting started with AI today. Because
Mhm.
what AI can help you do is prioritize those foundations that you may not have gotten right in the past. It can help you prioritize and accelerate doing those aspects.
Mhm. Well, let's drill down to Nvidia's offerings. I mean, how does Nvidia's AI offerings serve the cybersecurity market?
Well, we're not specifically a cyber solution. We want to be the platform, and we're an enablement platform for every cyber solution to operate on. We have
Mhm.
a developer ecosystem. We have what we call Morpheus, our Morpheus SDKs. And what it enables developers and cyber defenders to do is really truly take advantage of the machine learning techniques with reference models, getting started, both guides, models, data sets in order to help accelerate the uniquenesses of the problems that you're solving. So with those platforms and our just general AI pipelines and platforms, that's where we want to enable all cyber defenders and companies to build their uniquely tailored solutions on top of that common ecosystem and machine learning capability.
One piece of that I think is interesting is the idea that the AI solution or AI support is going to get better with time, not necessarily always with human assistance. The model will learn. I'm not sure what my question is. I just think it's interesting that the companies are using these solutions for cybersecurity. In theory, they're going to get better with time. You think it's correct, or is that too optimistic?
What I think that the trend is we're gonna learn through the journey, right? I don't think we can definitively say this is where it's going to work 100% of the time. What we do know is the data is outpassing our ability of our human capacity, the human capacity available to us to do cyber defense, and we need to do something. That's often we'll set out on a journey to say, how do I look for identity of abnormalities? But we'll actually end up finding some not human identity, but machine abnormalities as we use AI and as we use those techniques and tactics to look at that massive amount of data to be able to find the needle in the stack of needles is what we're really trying to do as a cyber defense. And so I think to your point, over time, it will, right? The more that we learn, the more that we come together as a collective community to share that knowledge, share of this is where it's working, this is where it's not. That collective defense is what's going to enable us to be successful in the future.
One point there that really resonated. You talked about how the data has outstripped, our human capacity to really, understand it and mine it and fully manage it. So we need artificial intelligence. We have gotten to the point where AI is really, it's not just a nice thing to have or an extra fancy sports car tool. It's actually a necessary part of the foundation, without which I think you need to be kind of afraid of what's going on.
Yes. And one thing that we'll talk to a lot of like SOC analysts and teams, it's how do you truly enable to better optimize the human capacity that you have? It is not a replacement of the human decision-making apparatus. In fact, it's how do you accelerate the human to make those decisions for the decisions only the human can make.
Hmm. Hmm. All right. Speaking of that AI human relationship, let's look to the future of that. The future of that, I think, is going to really determine things. What is your idea of the years ahead for AI and cybersecurity? I mean, and how can companies get ready for it now?
So the future that I see is at the end of the day, it's a feedback loop. Everybody in the organization, every human being in the organization is responsible for some aspect of cyber defense for that organization. The goal of us as cyber experts is to get as much information to them as possible at the time they need to make decisions. Should they click on that phishing, that email? Should they click on that link? Should they configure multi-factor on their email account, right? How do we use that in everyday life to give them as they're writing code? Nope, that has a high potential for exploitation. This is why. This is an article that tells you why. How do we get that information to them so we can be more proactive in everything? And that's in addition to the standard cyber defense tools, detecting malware, exploitation. But that's where I see the future is how do you get the knowledge, the security expert knowledge to those who are not security experts?
Mhm.
And to your second part of that question, what can you be doing now with that? I think is one is starting to learn what is capable, what is not. as I mentioned before, get your foundations in place so that you can build upon AI, start getting access to all of your data to make those decisions, and have your security teams working hand in hand with your developer community. Understand, where are they making the biggest mistakes? Where are the biggest hurdles that you can start injecting of how can we leverage AI and generative AI to give them those answers quicker, faster, and enable that aspect of the community.
You used the phrase generative AI, which you do get 5,000 bonus points, David, for using that phrase. It's a very high. I'm glad you won the game. You get a free game for using that phrase. It's a lot of good stuff. Anything else you'd like to add in closing about AI cybersecurity or generative AI? What how is it all going to shake out?
I, I think it's, to summarize it, and I said it in the beginning, right? It's how do we enable the machines to do what the machines are good at, and the humans to do what the humans are good at. The generative AI it's starting to demonstrate of how you can use it to accelerate both offensive and defensive learnings. And I think more people, everybody within the organization starts putting into the discussions to figure out how can they use it to learn things that they don't know, but they need to know to be successful, is what's just going to make a better defensive organization. How do you enable everybody in your company to be a cyber defender? Because they are the front line.
Interesting and important too. Companies do need to be thinking about that. David, I think you said it. A lot of fascinating stuff. Very much appreciate you sharing your thoughts today. And please come back and talk with us again sometime.
Thanks for having me. It was looking forward to a future discussion.